In the last class, we have started the full wave bridge rectifier. We have seen the simulation of waveforms also. So today we shall continue with the analysis of the full wave rectifier. So first, we shall see what we have done in the last class. So in the last class, we have derived the just asked what is the resistance of the circuit in the last class. So as I told you earlier in the last class itself, the resistance is door resistance plus resistance of the two diodes. If the transformer resistance also considered, you can add that also. Plus 2 plus RT, you can add that. So is my screen visible? Is my screen visible to you? Please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
this we have derived. So IM is equal to VM by 2RF plus RL. Okay, we are getting 2RF because in one half cycle we are coming across two diodes which are in on condition. So for the current has to pass through the two diodes. Okay, and the two diodes are in series. Okay, and then we have found out the average current also. So average current we got it as 2IM by pi. Okay, and then also we have found out the average value of your VDC. We got that VDC is equal to 2 VM by pi into RL by 2 RF plus RL. So whenever I saying that 2 RF plus RL, you should keep it in mind that in case in the question he has mentioned the transformer resistance separately, you have to add that also. So it will become transformer resistance plus twice the resistance of the diode plus load resistance. Okay. However, here in this analysis, I have considered that transformer resistance is 0. Okay. That's why you're not seeing that RT. Otherwise, even that should be included. And finally, if you're neglecting this RF term also, you'll get it. VDS is nearly equal to 2 VM by pi. Whereas in a half-wave rectifier, you have got that VDC as VM by pi and IDC as IM by pi. So your average DC content is almost double that of a half-wave rectifier. In a bridge rectifier, your average values are double that of your bridge rectifier. Okay, next RMS value. So RMS also I think we have done in the last class. RMS value we got it as IM by root 2. Okay, so if we rewrite IM in terms of VM, we'll get it as 1 by root 2 into VM by 2 RF plus RL. Here also you should add the transformer resistance if it is given in the question. Otherwise you can ignore that. And RMS voltage. RMS voltage is equal to RMS current into RL. Again here in this term we'll be neglecting the RF. 2RF is less than RL. Then what happens? This entire denominator and numerator gets cancelled. You will get VRMS nearly equal to VM by root 2. Okay, next term is form factor. So I need someone to answer what is form factor. I'll open the whiteboard from now onwards.
RMS by average value.
RMS by average value, right? Okay. So where did we leave in the last class? I think somewhere over here. It is taking time to load. So we'll create a new whiteboard. So form factor equal to RMS value by RMS value by
Average value.
average value. So what is the RMS value got? So if it's current, it is 2 IM by average RMS value is IM by root 2 divided by average value. What's the average value you got? 2 im by pi, right? Now this im gets cancelled. This pi will go to the numerator and 2 will remain the denominator. So it is pi by 2 root. Now you tell me the value of this form factor. Pi by 2 root
1.1107.
1.11. So it is nearly equal to 1.11. So if you remember, for a pure sinusoidal waveform also you are getting the same form factor, that is equal to 1.11. So form factor of both the fully rectified waveform and that of a pure sinusoidal waveform remains the same, 1.11. Whereas what is the form factor for a halfway rectified output? What's the form factor in halfway rectified output?
1.57, sir.
It's pi by 2, that is 1.57. Okay, so this is form factor. Next value is peak factor. What's the peak factor?
Peak
Peak
value
by
by
RMS.
So let's go back. So if you not remember, no, not a problem. It's peak factor is equal to peak value by RMS value. Okay, so again, what is peak value? IM. So if you go back to the simulation diagram, what's the peak value you are seeing? Peak value is IM, and then RMS value for this waveform is IM by root 2. Okay, so what we'll be writing is peak factor is equal to peak value by RMS value equal to IM divided by IM by root 2 equal to 2 or 1.4. Okay, this is the peak factor. Next you have peak inverse voltage. Peak inverse voltage is nothing but the maximum voltage of appearing across the diode in the reverse bias. So let us check back this diagram. So here the maximum voltage is minus 10 volts. Can you see this? Maximum voltage across any diode. So whether it's diode D1, D2 or D3 or D4, the maximum voltage is in the reverse bias is magnitude is 10 volts. That is same as the maximum voltage of the input wave. Okay, so I can say that peak inverse voltage is nothing but minus. Never write the minus value, only write the magnitude. Okay, so peak inverse voltage is equal to VR. Already inverse is given in the question itself. Okay, so peak inverse voltage magnitude is VM. So form factor over peak factor of the peak inverse value over peak inverse voltage value is over. Next we are left out with ripple factor. So ripple factor gamma, read as gamma. Okay, I myself was confused a lot number of times, so you do not confuse with that. So gamma is equal to, already you have derived in the last class that gamma is equal to form factor square minus 1. Is it right or not? Do you remember the last class?
Yes, sir.
When I was form factor square minus 1. Say directly, I can write as, please mute yourself. So it is form factor square minus 1. So form factor square means pi by 2 root 2 square. So pi by 2 root 2 square minus 1. That is equal to pi square by 8 minus 1. Okay, so tell me the value of under root pi square by 8 minus 1. So take your calculator and check the value. So I'm also taking my calculator. So pi square by 8 minus 1, and then you take the under root. So I'm getting 0.4834. Yeah, tell me the value. 0.4834. 0.48. What you're getting? Are you getting 0.4834?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're getting 0.4834. Okay. So you are saying the same thing in the notes also. It is 0.4834. So next is rectifier efficiency. So already we have defined the rectifier efficiency in the last class only. So if you remember, you can quote it down. Otherwise, I'll again show the formula. So if you remember, please quote what is rectifier efficiency. It's the ratio of the power delivered to the load divided by AC input power at the terminals of the rectifier. So at the input terminals, you have PAC, and at the output terminals, you have PDC. It's the ratio of PDC at the output terminals to the PAC at the input terminals to the rectifier. So at the input power. Rectifier efficiency eta. So if you write percentage eta, then it will be PDC at output terminals divided by PAC at the input terminals into 100. So what is PDC out? It is VDC into IDC, right? So it is VM by, or if you want to write it as only IDC square into RL, you can also do that. IDC square into RL. Okay. So what is IDC value? IM by, tell me the IDC value. 2 IM by pi. Okay, 2 IM by pi whole square into RL. You keep it aside. And then you have PAC at the input terminals. So PAC at the input terminals is V voltage at the terminals of the secondary of the transformer. So VAC input into, okay, and you have the same common current throughout the circuit, that is IRMS. So VAC means VRMS input into IRMS. So VRMS value at that this thing, what you can write it as, or you can write it as IRMS square into, what are the elements that you are coming across in the circuit? Resistances. Please tell me.
RL plus 2RF, sir.
RL plus 2RF. Okay. In case you have you want to include the transformer, you can include that also. RTF. In case you want that. Otherwise, for our analysis part, I am omitting this transformer resistance. But if in any kind of numerical question they have asked the transformer resistance also, you need to include that. Okay. So for time being, I am omitting that. So what is IRMS? What is IRMS? What's the IRMS value you got?
By root 2, sir.
IM by root 2. So it's IRMS is equal to IM by root 2 whole square into RL plus 2RF plus RTF. Okay. Now your percentage efficiency is equal to PDC by PAC. So it is 2IM. So 2 square is 4. 4IM square by pi square into RL. And then because we are dividing the AC, PAC is in the denominator, so I'm just interchanging the numerator and denominator over here. So under root square is 2. 2 divided by IM square into RL plus 2RF plus RTF into So Im square Im square Im by square 8 Im 8 by pi square into RL by RL plus 2RF plus RTF into 100. Now if you neglect the diode resistance and the transformer resistance, so if you take that RL is greater than 2RL plus RTF, then percentage eta will be nearly equal to 8 by pi square into 100. Because if you neglect these two things, what happens? This will become 0 and RL gets cancelled. Okay, so now tell me the value of this value of this one. 8 by pi square into 100.
81.056.
It is 81.056%. Okay, so if you check with the rectifier efficiency of half a rectifier, it is, you can see that for half a rectifier efficiency is equal to 4 by pi square into 100, whereas here it is 8 by pi square. So I can say that the efficiency of the rectifier has been doubled when we have moved from half wave rectifier to full wave rectifier. So which one is better one? Which one is a better rectifier?
Full wave
You
rectifier.
tell me the, yeah. Now compare the ripple factors also. In the previous before derivation we have done the ripple factor gamma. So what's the gamma value got? 0.4834. Okay, so this is 0.4834. What's the gamma in the half wave rectifier? You got,
One.
what's the gamma value?
1.1, sir.
Should be a large value or a small value? Which one is preferred?
Small value.
Which value is small value? So in a rectifier, our aim is to get a constant DC. If you have a ripple content or wavy like a waveform in the output waveform output, then it is not desirable. We need to get a ideally constant DC. However, even after using the full wave rectifier also, we are still unable to get the constant DC. We are still having some ripple content. Okay, so this ripple content should be as low as possible. So this gamma ideally should be 0. So you will be doing in actual lab conditions, what you will be doing is you will be doing a half wave rectifier experiment and then you will be doing a full wave rectifier experiment. You will compare the gamma values, and also and then you will what you will be doing is at the last you will be including a capacitor at the output terminals. Okay, when you include the capacitor, you will observe that at the output terminals, if you keep a capacitor in parallel to the load, then your entire ripples will be lost, because your capacitor, you know that capacitor property is that it will maintain constant voltage across it. Okay, it will try to maintain the constant voltage across it. So because of the capacitor charging and discharging, your ripples will die down and then you will get a gamma value almost equal to 0. So practically when you do the experiment, you will be knowing that. Anyways, once this topic is over without filters, then I'll be showing you that capacitor filter and circuit also. Okay, so only thing you need to know from this term called gamma is that gamma is ripple factor, and we need to have very low ripple content in our waveform, and we need to have a very high rectifier efficiency. Efficiency of the rectifier should be high, whereas should be low. So compared to half wave rectifier, so your full wave bridge rectifier is much better. Okay, and then so even the rectifier efficiency is also over, your ripple factor is over. So what we are left out with? We are left out with so transformer utilization factor, TUF. Okay, so if you remember what's the transformer utilization factor? TUF is equal to, it's the ratio of power, DC power delivered to the load divided by effective volt ampere rating of the VA rating of the transformer, right? Okay, so this is the formula: DC power delivered to the load divided by AC VA rate, effective VA rating of your transformer. So what is, already we have found out the PDC output. So what is PDC out? We have got the earlier also we have done just a minute ago. So you got that is 2Im by pi whole square into RL, right? Can you see this? This is the PDC out. Okay, so keep it aside. This is equal to 2Im by pi whole square into RL. So next we need to find out effective VA of the VA rating of transformer. So here for finding out the effective VA rating of the transformer, we need to first find out the secondary terminal voltage of your transformer multiplied by current flowing through the circuit, because your transformer is also in series with that of your circuit elements. So are you able to hear me? Please tell me if my voice is low.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
No, sir.
If I am not audible, please tell me so that I will raise my voice, because sometimes I may forget that I am talking to you over microphone. So I will continue with my analysis. You may not be able to hear me. So please let me know if at any moment you are not able to hear my voice. Okay. So in the effective VA rating of the transformer is equal to, so secondary voltage rating of the transformer terminals at the input terminals, and then multiplied by the current in the circuit. Okay, secondary of the transformer. Okay, so what is the voltage of the secondary of the transformer? We'll go back to the simulation diagram once if you require. So what is the winding to voltage rating? Please tell me. Can you see it on the screen? Please read it down. Read it out. Winding to parameters.
Voltage is maximum voltage.
Vm by root 2. Here maximum voltage we are taking as 10. So it is Vm by root 2. Okay. So I'll go back to the whiteboard. So it is Vm by root 2. What is IRMS? What is IRMS?
Im by root 2.
Im by okay. So it is Vm Im by 2. Okay. So again your Vm will be equal to your Im into RL plus 2RF plus RTF into Im. So it will be your Im square by 2 into RL plus 2RF plus RTF. Okay. So what will be your TF value? TF value will be PDC out by VA rating. So that will be again equal to 4 Im square pi square into RL into 2 . plus what is the value 2RF plus RTF. So again you will be getting TF value will be equal to 8 by pi square. So let me check this once. Is my screen visible to you?
No, sir.
No,
No, sir.
sir.
Okay. So now check, please check now.
Sir, now it is.
Yes, sir. It
So
is
I
visible, sir.
okay. Now just now I opened the notes again. So whatever we have done is right. So again we are getting the same expression. TF is equal to 8 by pi square. Can you see this? TF value. Okay. So only thing is in the notes I have not considered the RTF, which is the transformer secondary resistance. You may consider it or you may omit it. It is as per your choice. Okay. So whatever we have got here, 8 by pi square. Okay. 8 by pi square is same over in the notes also. Okay, so what we have determined, we have determined the 10 terms. What are the 10 terms we have derived? We have derived the IDC value, and then we have derived the VDC value, and IRMS value, VRMS value, and then form factor, and then peak factor, peak inverse voltage, and then your ripple factor gamma, and then rectifier efficiency eta, and then finally your transformer utilization factor. So totally it is we are deriving almost 10 different terms. So we are analyzing the circuit when we are writing the parameters of your rectifier. Okay, so next we shall move on to the next topic, which is your full wave rectifier with center tap transformer configuration. Okay, so first I'll draw the rough diagram in the whiteboard, then I'll move on to the topic. So in the earlier diagram, we have used the 4 diodes, right? So instead of 4 diodes, now we'll be using only 2 diodes in the center tapped configuration. So the configuration is known as full wave rectifier with full wave rectifier with center tapped transformer configuration. So in this, what we are going to do is, first we have voltage source, and then we have a transformer. But as the name suggests, so what you are seeing on the name, what type of transformer it is you are using? Please respond.
Summer, sir.
Center
Center
tap.
tapped.
So you will not have the simple as secondary winding. Your secondary winding is divided into 2 different halves. Okay, so your secondary winding is of 2 different halves. So exactly at center. So do not point this arrow towards the top end or the bottom end. It should be almost at the center of this secondary winding of the transformer. So here we are taking a tapping. So once you learn the transformers topic, you will be learning about on-load tap changing transformer and off-load tap changing transformers. This is a fixed transformer. So in which we have, so for this transformer, how many terminals are there for the secondary winding? On the primary winding, how many terminals are there?
No, sir.
Please tell me. So
Two,
this
sir.
is terminal 1, this terminal 2. Okay. For the secondary, you have 3 terminals. 1 dash, 2 dash, sorry, 1 dash, 2 dash, and then 3 dash. So you have 3 terminals for this transformer. Such a type of transformer is said to be center tapped transformer. And then from this, we'll be connecting 2 diodes. So diode D1 and then diode D2. Okay, so we'll join the cathodes of this diodes. So both the cathodes we are joining, and then the common terminal from the cathodes will take it out, and then we'll have your load resistor. Okay, and the center tap will take it out, and we will give to this RL, and then the center tap should be at ground 0 level, so we'll be connecting to the ground. Okay, so can you understand the diagram now? So whenever you are having a sinusoidal voltage at the primary side of the circuit, so when you are giving a sinusoidal voltage for the positive half cycle, for the top portion of the secondary winding, you will get a positive half cycle over here, whereas for the bottom portion of the transformer you will be getting a negative half. So whenever this terminal is positive, the center tap will be always at 0, whereas this terminal will be at negative. Okay, so when this terminal is positive, this terminal will be negative. Okay, so if this terminal is negative, this terminal would be positive. So if it is negative, this terminal will be positive. Okay, they have the same magnitude, however there will be opposite polarities. So did you understand? So set a time, they will be off. So I'll take some other pen. So when this is positive, this would be this side, and then when this would be negative, this would be positive. Okay, so I'll erase all this again. So what happens is, now whenever you're supplying the positive half cycle, so for this, so when you're giving a sinusoidal voltage, so when the input is positive half cycle, the top terminal will be having the positive voltage, whereas the bottom terminal will be having the of the secondary of the transformer will be having the negative voltage. So now tell me which diode will be on, which diode will be off.
D1 will be in forward bias, sir. D2 will be in reverse bias.
Yes, because for the anode you have a positive voltage for diode D1, whereas for the anode of D2 you have a negative voltage. You know that diode will be in forward bias when only when anode is at higher potential than the cathode. Okay, so for these two diodes, for diode D1 anode is at higher potential than cathode, whereas for diode D2 anode is at lower potential than cathode. Okay, so for the positive half cycle, for positive half cycle, so do not write this in your examination, I'm just using the symbol plus. Okay, do not write your SMS language in your answers, always write that positive full words you write. So for positive half cycle, uh, your diode D1 will be on and D2 will be off. And now I'll write the current direction. I'll use the again the red color. Is my screen visible? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So current will flow from the transformer, secondary of the transformer, and then to the diode D1, and then from diode D1 it will flow through the load resistor. So let these terminals be terminal A, this terminal be terminal B. The current will flow like this, and then it will come to the center of the transformer. Okay, so this is your complete circuit. Okay, so what's the direction of the current flow in the load resistor from A to B or B to A? Please tell me. A to B, right? Now if we consider the negative half cycle, okay, I'll erase this so that you will not have any confusion. Okay, for the negative half cycle I'm now using the blue pen. So for the negative half cycle of the input, your top terminal of the secondary of the transformer will be having negative volt half cycle, whereas the bottom terminals of your transformer will be having positive half cycle. Okay, so now your diode D2, so for negative half cycle, for negative half cycle, your diode D1 will be off, diode D2 will be on condition. Why it is in on condition? Your for the diode D1, you are having anode is having negative voltage. Okay, so your anode is at lower voltage than your cathode, whereas for diode D2, anode will be at higher voltage compared to that of cathode, because now you are having positive half cycle for the diode D2. Okay, so now current will flow from again from the transformer. I'll use this pen. So from the transformer secondary to the diode, from the diode D2, from diode D2 again to the terminal A, from terminal A to the load resistor RL, from load resistor RL to terminal B, from terminal B again it will go to the center of your center tap of your transformer, and then circuit is completed. Okay, so can you see this diagram, the blue path? Can you see the path of the current flow? Please respond. So in the load resistor, again tell me the direction of the current flow, whether it is from A to B or from B to A. A to B. So whether it's for positive half cycle of the input or for the negative half cycle of the input, the current in the load resistor is not changing its direction. It is always from terminal A to terminal B. So I can say that for the load resistor, the current that is flowing to the load resistor is always unidirectional current. So I can call it as a DC current. Okay, so we are getting a rectifier output at the across your load terminals. Okay, now we shall go back to the simulation diagram. I'll explain the simulation diagram and then we can proceed with the simulation. So this is a center tap configuration. Okay, can you see this? So what is the AC voltage that you are seeing over here? What is supply I am giving?
230 volts AC, sir.
230 volts AC. So 230 is RMS value, whereas peak value is 230 into square root 2. Okay, and then now I'm using the, instead of earlier in the full way, if you remember, earlier I have used from the bridge rectifier. What type of transformer I used? I have used only a two winding transformer, right? So if you remember, I have unticked the three winding transformer. Can you see this? Can you see the three winding transformer option?
Yes, sir.
I have unticked that. Now what I am doing is I am in the center tapped configuration, in the center tapped transformer configuration, I am taking that three windings transformer also. Okay, and for both the terminals, okay, for both the winding two parameters and the winding three parameters, I am writing the same values. What's the value you are seeing? Please read it out. Please read
10
the
by root
winding 2
2.
per 10 by square root 2. For winding 3 also is 10 by square root 2. Can you see that? Please
Yes,
respond.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. And then what I am doing is, see the connection of how I am doing. So I have joined the terminals of the, so I am joining the bottom terminal of the winding 2 and the top terminal of the winding 3. And then I am giving it to a ground. Okay. A ground. Okay. And then I want to measure the input voltage. I'm measuring the input voltage between the top terminal, positive terminal of the winding 2 and between the ground. Okay, and this is the input voltage, which is simply a measurement unit. Okay, voltage measurement unit. And then the positive terminal of the, so for the positive terminal of the winding 2, I connected to the diode D1. I'm also considering the measurement unit of the diode, so that's why I have enabled the show measurement port. Okay, so what's the forward voltage of the diode I'm considering? What's the forward voltage you are seeing on the screen? Please respond.
0.
Sir.
Zero.
Zero.
So I'm considering it as a ideal diode. So when the diode is in on condition, there is no voltage drop across it. Okay, so likewise I'm taking the diode voltage. I'm using a bus over here. So already I have shown this port earlier. It's a bus selector unit. I'm only considering the diode voltage. Similarly, for diode D2, I connect to the negative terminal of the third transformer. I'm connecting to the negative terminal of the third winding of the transformer. Can you see that? I'm not connecting to the positive terminal of the third winding of the transformer. I'm connecting to the negative terminal of the third winding of the transformer. Can you see this? How I'm connecting the diode D2? And then
Yes, sir.
I'm connecting the cathodes, both the cathodes of diode D1 and D2. I'm connecting both of them. Okay, so this is where I'm joining the cathodes. Okay, and from the cathode I'm taking a one terminal, I'm connecting a current measuring unit. This output current is a current measuring unit. So you know that ammeter is always connected in series with the circuit. So I'm connecting this in the series with the load resistor. Okay, and then load resistor, and across the load resistor I want to measure the output voltage. So you know that voltmeter will be connected in parallel. So I connected the voltage measurement unit in parallel to the load resistor. That's it. Your connections are over. So all these external wirings are only the wires signals from the measuring units. Okay, you need not bother about these extra windings. Okay, so in the scope, what I'm measuring the input voltage. So input voltage I'm measuring at the secondary of the transformer, and then diode 1 voltage, D1 voltage, then diode D2 voltage, and then output voltage and output current. Again, here the resistor value I'm taking it as 100 ohms. If I remember, yeah, I'm taking it as 100 ohms. Okay, so I'll be getting a very low current. I'll open the scope. Okay, I'll run this simulation. What is the peak value of your input voltage? You're seeing on the screen. What's the peak value you're seeing?
10 volts.
10, sir.
10 volts. Okay, so for this, what will be the RMS value? For the sinusoidal voltage, what will be the RMS value?
10 by
Pure
root 2.
sinusoidal,
10
10 by root 2. Yeah, RMS value for a pure sinusoidal waveform is peak value by root 2. So 10 by root 2 will be our RMS value. And then diode D1, you can see that for the positive half cycle of the input voltage, diode D1 voltage is 0. So you can see that between 0 to 0.01, between 0 to 0.01, you can see that what is the value you are seeing? Diode voltage, D1 voltage value. What you are saying? For the time period between 0 to 0.1 on a x-axis, what's the y value? Y-axis value?
0, sir.
0. So it is
0.
0 means diode is in conduction mode. Diode is in on condition. Okay. So when diode is in on condition, it acts like a simple on switch, or there is no voltage drop across your diode. Okay. And for the negative half cycle of the input, so for the negative half cycle of the input, that is between the 0.01 seconds to 0.02 seconds, what is the output voltage value? What is the diode D1 voltage value? What's the diode D1 voltage value? Minus
minus 20.
minus 20. But what is the input value of the input voltage, or input voltage maximum value for the negative half cycle? What?
Minus 10.
Minus 10. Right? Please. Giving 10 volts as a peak input voltage value, you are getting minus 20 volts in the reverse bias. Okay, for the negative half cycle, your diode D1 is in reverse bias and it acts like an open circuit. Okay, and what you are observing over here is that the voltage is not equal to Vm, but it is equal to 2V. So what is the peak inverse voltage value? Whether it is Vm or 2Vm. What is the peak? When you are giving the voltage of Vm magnitude, what will be the peak inverse voltage value? What is peak inverse voltage? Peak inverse voltage is the voltage appearing across
Minus
the
10.
diode in reverse bias, right? Maximum voltage appearing across the diode in reverse bias. If you are giving Vm magnitude of voltage peak value, then the reverse bias diode is observing a voltage of diode is across the diode, you are observing a voltage of minus 20 volts, right? That means your peak inverse voltage value is double that of peak value, 2 Vm. Okay, so PIV value is equal to 2 Vm. So that's the major difference between your bridge rectifier and the center tap rectifier configuration. Okay, in the bridge rectifier configuration, what is the peak inverse voltage value you are seeing?
Vm.
What's in the half wave rectifier? In the half wave rectifier also it is Vm. Okay, whereas in a center tapped configuration, the peak inverse voltage value is equal to 2 Vm. For the D2, for the positive half cycle of the input, that is between 0 to 0.1 second, what is the voltage you are observing? For the diode D2, between 0 to 0.01 seconds, what's the voltage you are observing?
Minus 20.
So it's you are seeing a sinusoidal signal in the negative half cycle with the peak value minus 20. It means that between for the positive half cycle of the input voltage, your diode D2 is in the reverse bias and it is acting like an open circuit. And the volt and across this diode, you are observing a peak voltage of minus 20 volts. So what is the peak inverse voltage value for this diode? It is again 2 Vm. Okay. So the for diodes connected in full wave rectifier in center tapped transformer configuration, the peak inverse voltage is equal to 2 Vm. Okay, it is not equal to Vm. Okay, and then for the negative half cycle of the input, so for the negative half cycle of the input, that is between 0.01 seconds to 0.02 seconds. Now tell me the diode voltage D2 value. What's the diode D2 value? Voltage value? 0. It means that for the negative half cycle of the input voltage, your diode D2 is in forward bias condition and it is acting like a closed switch or a on switch. Okay, it is acting like a short circuit. Okay, because of which the voltage across the terminals of your diode is equal to 0. For the diode D, for the negative or open switch. Okay, so when diode D1 is on, D2 is off. When diode D1 is off, D2 is on. Now let us move back to the output voltage. So what is the output voltage you are seeing? What type of output voltage you are seeing?
DC sinusoidal. See.
DC sinusoidal waveform, like, okay. And now tell me the your time period for this waveform. What's the time period?
0.01.
0.01 seconds. So what will be the frequency? Frequency is equal to 1 by time period. Now tell me the frequency in hertz.
100
1 by
Hz.
1 by 0.01, that is equal to 100 hertz. So when you are giving a 50 hertz input voltage, you are getting a 100 hertz output voltage. So in the full wave rectifier with center tapped transformer configuration also, you are again getting the double the frequency of that of the input frequency. So output frequency in the full wave rectifier, whether it is bridge rectifier or center tapped transformer configuration, you are always getting output frequency is equal to twice that of input frequency. Okay, so same thing we have observed in the center tapped configuration, in the bridge rectifier configuration also. If you see, so this is a bridge rectifier because you have 4 diodes. Okay, here also you are seeing that the frequency is double that of the input frequency. Here also time period is 0.01 volts. Here also the magnitude of the voltage is peak value is 10 volts. Okay, here also same. So everything else is same. Your output voltage waveform is identical to that of your center tapped transformer configuration. Output current is identical. So what is the value you are seeing? Output current 0.1, right? Peak value. Can you see that? It's a bridge rectifier configuration. Can you see this? Yes. Now I'll open the center tapped transformer configuration also. So here we have only 2 diodes. So it's a center tapped transfer configuration. Here also, what's the peak value of the output current? It's again 0.1. Okay. So time period is the same. Your magnitudes are same. So your output voltage and current are one and the same. Only major difference between your bridge rectifier configuration and the center tapped configuration is that in a bridge rectifier configuration, the transformer is you are using is 2 winding transformer, whereas in center tapped transformer configuration you are using 3 winding transformer. So physically that is the major difference, and also other physical difference is that in bridge rectifier you are using 2 diodes, and then coming to the analysis part, your input voltage is the same, your output voltage, output currents are the same. The only major difference in the waveforms is that the diode voltages, you can see that the peak inverse voltage is equal to Vm in a bridge rectifier. So I'll open the bridge rectifier. Here you can see that what's the peak voltage you are seeing, peak inverse voltage you are seeing voltage, peak inverse voltage you are seeing here. Please read it out. Peak inverse voltage. Hello, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What's the value you are reading out? Please read the value.
Minus
10
10
or
volts.
20? Minus 10 volts, right? So it will be minus 10 volts, that is equal to Vm. If you take the magnitude, it's equal to Vm in the bridge rectifier configuration. Whereas in the center tapped configuration, in a center tapped transformer configuration, it is equal to minus 20. Can you see this? It is minus 20. So that is equal to 2 Vm. So except that peak inverse voltage value, everything else will remain the same. Why everything else will remain the same? If you take the DC value, if you want to find out the IDC value, so output current waveform is identical to that of your bridge rectifier voltage. Bridge rectifier current and voltages, the waveforms are identical. Okay. So you can see this output voltage waveform, output current waveform. This remains identical to that of your bridge rectifier waveforms. That's why when you're doing the analysis, everything will remain the same. Your output DC current will be remain the same. Output voltage, DC voltage will be remain the same. VRMS will remain the same. IRMS will remain the same. Your form factor. What is form factor? RMS value by what's form factor?
RMS by average, sir.
RMS by average value. Because the waveform is identical, your form factor will also be the same. So what will be your form factor value for a center tapped transfer configuration?
1.01, sir.
1.11. So it is same that of your bridge rectifier configuration. Okay. So again, peak factor will be peak voltage by RMS value. Again, it will remain the same. What's the peak value? √2, right? What's the peak factor? What is peak factor?
√2, sir.
Vm by √2. Vm by Vm by √2, that is equal to √2. So here also it will remain the same. Only difference will be your peak inverse voltage. In a bridge rectifier configuration, it is equal to Vm, whereas in center tapped transformer configuration, it will be equal to 2 Vm. Okay, and then your ripple factor. What is ripple factor? Under root form factor square minus 1. Because form factors are identical, your ripple factor will also be identical. What is the ripple factor percentage you are getting? What is the ripple factor value you are getting? 0.48 something, right?
0.4834, sir.
Yeah, 0.483. So here for the center tapped configuration also, your ripple factor will remain the same. So and again, you have your rectifier efficiency. What is rectifier efficiency?
Power
Rectifier
delivered to load,
efficiency.
sir, input power, sir.
Yeah. So here, if you neglect the diode resistances, then even that rectifier efficiency will remain the same. But if you are considering the diode resistances, there will be small deviation, because in the earlier circuit, you are coming across 2 diodes, right? In the circuit, you are considering 2 diodes in the bridge rectifier for every half cycle. Whereas here you are coming across only 1 diode at one time. At one particular instant, either diode D1 will be on or diode D2 will be on. Both the diodes will not be simultaneously turned on or simultaneously turned off. Okay. Only at a particular instant, if D1 is on, D2 will be off. If D2 is on, D1 will be off. Okay. So only you will have only one particular diode resistance. Okay, so if you neglect the diode resistance also, your rectifier efficiency will also remain the same. What's the rectifier efficiency? 8 by pi square into 100, right? What's the rectifier efficiency?
81.0.
81.56%, sir.
let us go back and check whether we are getting the same thing or not. With this, I'll end the class. I will explain about transformer utilization factor. Because we have 3 windings instead of 2 windings, your transformer utilization factor will be slightly different. So let me check this remaining terms. So this is your full wave rectifier with bridge configuration. Slightly I have changed the circuit diagram. Anything is same. So here also we are connecting the center tap of the transformer to the ground, and then the common terminals of the diode cathode will be connected to the terminal A. From terminal A, I am connecting the load resistor RL. From terminal B, I am connecting back to the ground and to the center tap of the transformer. Anyway, you can draw. Okay. So electrically, these both the circuits are identical. So for my convenience, I have redrawn in a different way. So do not worry about that. So here you have 2 loops. So I'm also showing the circuit current directions. And then you have your waveforms like this. So analysis part, let us see. IDC is remaining the same, 2Im by pi. VDC is 2Vm by pi. RMS is Im by root 2. VRMS is Vm by root 2. Form factor 1.11. Peak factor root 2. Peak inverse voltage 2Vm. Ripple factor 0.483. Rectifier efficiency, it's again 8 by pi square. Here you can see that I have used only RF plus RL. Okay, whereas in the bridge configuration, I might have used RL by 2 RL plus 2 RF. So here you have got in bridge rectifier configuration, you are getting 2 RF over here, whereas in center tap configuration, I'm getting only one single RF. That too you can neglect for practical purposes. Again, it is 8 by pi square into 100. So transformer utilization factor is slightly different because we have 3 windings. So you need to consider both the windings. So this I will discuss in the next class. Okay. So everything else will remain the same for bridge rectifier and the center tap transformer rectifier configuration. So I'll end the class now. I'll stop the recording and take the attendance.